All right, then I'm gonna grind. Let's just hop into it. I kind of teased this last week and then put out a video. If you guys saw it, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. But what 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 I see consistently out there right now is in every maybe it's in every market, but our clients have some fears. They have some what ifs. They have these friction points on, should I really buy? Should I really sell? Am I making a poor decision? Is now really the time? Should we be waiting? And all of that. And and I know it's the most common thing in all of real estate, but this question about how's the market? And I think about it because, and you guys know this, you go to the grocery store and somebody asks you about it. You run into somebody in church and somebody asks you about the market. What I want to take the conversation with today is trying to answer that question for our audience before they ask it. Meaning trying to give them content to chew on and things to consider that will get them moving into action, even if they don't run into you at the grocery store and ask you the question. So what does your audience really want to know when it comes to what's going on in the market? So I kind of think about it this way is, so first and foremost for everybody, just kind of in your own head. And again, if anyone wants to come off mute and share, that's fine. I always encourage you guys to throw stuff in the chat as well. But when you run into somebody calls you, you see them out on the street, and they say, how's the market? What are they really asking? And I think, as you guys think about that for a second, you guys have your own opinions on that. I think one of the things they're doing is they're just starting a conversation with you. They know you're in real estate. They're just generally curious. They just starting a conversation. They have no interest in real estate. It's just like saying, how's the weather? How's your favorite sports teams? How's your health? It's really no more deep than that. And then there's other groups of people that are actually reaching out in some capacity, whether at random or intentionally, that truly have a real estate question that's festering in their mind, some sort of real estate need that's rolling around in their head, and they really need a professional opinion because they're just kind of lost in what the news is saying, what their neighbors are saying. They're getting a mixed message out there. So as we kind of get going in the dialogue this morning, when somebody asks you the question, how's the market? What is your first response? Anybody want to jump in and just give something on that? When somebody asks you, what is your first response when somebody says, how's the market? Yeah, Marty, I see that. Marty says, why do you ask? Jenica, what has you curious? Derek, is he going to buy, sell, or invest? I got a bunch of pros here. I honestly, guys, I think if the answer didn't immediately kind of come to you, I do believe that the best answer to how's the market is asking them back a question. That's awesome. So, hey, Scott, how's the market? I'm so glad you asked. I'm just curious, why? Why did you ask me the question? Or just the way that Jenica wrote it, what has you curious about the market right now? And allow them to bring something else into the equation, something else into the conversation. Because some of them might just say, well, I just saw this thing on the news. I heard that rates are dropping. I heard that now is a great time to be a buyer. I heard that right now is a terrible time to be a seller, whatever they happen to say. But let them qualify why they asked the question in the first place. It does a couple of things for you, really. Frankly, one is it allows you to give a better response because you really know from where their heart is coming on the question. And number two, and this is my biggest trick, and you guys aren't allowed to use this against me, but if we're in conversation and I ask you a question back, It's because I'm formulating my answer. Yes, maybe I need to get a little bit deeper into why you asked the question in the first place. But if I ask a question back, it gives me another 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds in order to formulate how I want to respond to it. Because sometimes my first inclination is not the best one. And having a couple of seconds to reflect on it then gives me the opportunity. So I just bring that up from the very beginning today, just to kind of get our minds thinking about, as we run into folks, how can we better approach that question? But the real essence of today is, like I said at the very beginning, is how do we get out ahead of it so that people are getting the answer to their question without having to talk to us first? So that we become that first place position in their mind, that when they have a question about real estate, they've already gotten that response to us from one of our platforms, from one of the ways in which we communicate with them. So this is how I kind of thought about it. As I went into my favorite tool, I spent some time with Makina. If you guys don't know Makina yet, she is Makina. Sorry, I gotta work on my accent. It's Makina. Makina is my personal digital assistant, my brain, my thought partner, all those different things. And so I asked Makina. I said, for a second now, pretend that I'm a buyer and not a real estate agent. And I'm thinking about buying a home in the next 90 days. What are the most common concerns or questions that I might have as a buyer? Now I could elongate this question. I kind of wanted to make it fit the screen here on the slide. I could drill this down and say, pretend I'm a home buyer in Sacramento. Pretend I'm a home buyer in Dallas. Pretend I'm a home buyer in Kansas City. Pretend I'm a home buyer in Miami. I could distill it down and say, pretend that I'm a first-time home buyer. Pretend that I'm a move-up home buyer. Pretend that I have a 3% interest rate and I'm still thinking about buying a home. Fill in the blank if you want to get more specific about an audience, but for our conversation this morning, I just left it broad. Pretend I'm a buyer, not a real estate agent. I'm thinking about buying a home in the next 90 days. Why 90 days? Because I don't know about you all, but I'm looking for some business that I'm looking for some clients out there in the world that might have a need here in the very near future. Maybe they want to be into their new home by the end of the year. But rather than just asking broadly, buying a home at some point, just I want to know who's buying a home in the next 90 days. Again, distill this down. If someone's thinking about buying a home in the next 30 days, what kind of questions are they asking? The more precise your prompt is, the better the response that you're going to get. Okay. So what are the most common concerns or questions that buyers today have? What do you guys think? You can throw it in the chat. Come off mute if you choose. But in your own mindset and in your own conversation with the people in the pipeline that you're having right now, what are the concerns and questions that buyers are having that are causing them to not take action?
Rates might come down. Maybe I should wait.
Yep. Rates might come down. Maybe I should wait. Okay.
I think it's really important to flip that, Scott, don't you, and talk about average appreciation in the neighborhoods they're considering. Because if the rate drops 0.5% on a $600,000 loan, they're talking about 250 bucks a month. But on the other side, that $650,000 house at 4% appreciation, they're going to be paying 30,000 more for it a year from now. So saving $3,000 to lose 30 is not a good business decision.
Okay, so and Mike's a mortgage professional. If you guys are looking for more detail on what Mike's talking about, feel free to send him a side note in the chat right now. Give his contact information and follow up because Mike's really excellent at this, but he can really help you with the scripting around how that conversation goes. I think all of us know that framework in our head, and yet Mike does this more consistently probably than any of us in having that conversation. And at the same time, go to your favorite machine And if you don't have those perfect words to say, they can help you craft that same thing, kind of that cost of waiting. What might happen, what might happen if rates soften up a little bit or go down. And I also see Andrew's comment in there too, is that prices may continue to soften. Great. If you don't know how to overcome that objection, that's another great thing to throw into the machine and see what kind of information they'll give you back. As I did it this morning, I got back basically, I'm gonna do it this way. If it'll allow me to do it. This is where my Zoom skills just still don't quite get me to where I need to be. But here was what I got back in my prompt from it. Was this. And it doesn't, I'll build into this here in a second. But it said here are the things, here's the topics that people are concerned about. Financial readiness, timing, and market doubts. So what if prices fall? There's Andrew's objection right there. How do I know which is the best builder? Who has the best construction? They don't even know the process. I don't even know about what pre-approval means. Gosh, if someone pulls my credit score is going to go down. If I make an offer on a house, do I have to buy it? Like, what happens on the inspection and the appraisal? And then you have the emotional side of it. What if I regret it? What if I can't afford it? What if I'm paying too much? Right? So these are if you're lacking for some responses, here are 5 just categories, and then you could drill into any one of those in particular. From my perspective, the main thing that causes people not to act tends to be emotion, not fact. People get frozen because of fear, uncertainty, insecurity, lack of information, because of emotion. And yes, we can deliver the facts about price and payment and rates and historical appreciation rates and all of that. It's emotion that gets people to move. And so maybe what you would choose in coming through these 4 different things on timing and finances and who the best builder is, maybe you'd want to drill in more on emotions. If I was going to put out some information today to my audience, knowing that emotion makes people act, I could drill down a little bit more and say, machine, tell me more about this topic. Okay. We're not going to do that, but just as an example of where you might choose to go with this. So let me go back into my slide deck. It'll only take me 15 minutes to get back over there. So as I'm fumbling through here in the background, what else comes to mind? Like what of what's on that list? What else would you be looking at as something that somebody might want more information about? Anything else? I gave you kind of 5 topics in there, but is there anything else that might be on somebody's mind? I really just was stalling because I couldn't get my machine to open up. Now I'm back. Now I have my slides back in front of me. Okay, so then I said, now that I've gotten these 5 concerns that it gave me back, give me a blog. Write me a blog titled Buyer Mindset. What people really worry about before buying a home. And I know blog's kind of an old school title, an old school kind of way of thinking about things. But what we're learning, and other people kind of probably back me up on this, is that as we move forward into how people find us online or how people are searching for information, if we're not publishing our thoughts, if we're not publishing our scripts, if we're not publishing our most frequently asked questions out there for the world to digest, no one's ever going to find us if they are generally doing a search online for a real estate agent. So saying that differently is that whether you like it or not, the way the industry is moving and the way that consumers get information is we have to be content creators. And I'm not saying this because I'm not saying everyone's got to be an Instagram influencer. I'm not saying you got to be able to do a TikTok dance. All those things could be important to you. Those may be things that will drive your business. When I say content creation, though, that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm really referring to is that we professionals, we know the most frequently asked questions. We know that if somebody called us, how we would overcome an objection. We in our heads know what the most common buyer fears are. And if we're in conversation one-to-one with somebody, we can help walk them through those things. But what if you start sharing that information that you have in your head, that as you've been doing this for the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, what if you start publishing that out there for the world to digest? Because if they're not, because the public is looking for it, and if they're not getting it from you, and they're getting it from somebody else, there's a high propensity that they're going to click through to that person's website. They're going to click through to that person's blog post or however else. And then that person becomes in first position in their mind when it comes to real estate questions. I was sharing with our team yesterday, I did a query that was similar to this, but it had to do with, I'm thinking about buying a home in El Dorado Hills. What's been going on in the El Dorado Hills real estate market? And I also asked it to give me some sources for where they pull their information from. And it started giving me bullet points. And it said, inventory is up by such and such percent. And it quoted Redfin. It sourced Redfin. It said prices are up certain percent, and it sourced realtor.com. The next one said days on the market are increasing and prices are softening. The source that it quoted was a real estate agent in our market. And so that real estate agent now looks like they're the expert when it comes to the El Dorado Hills market. Next bullet point down was something else related to the market, and the source came from that person's blog. Now, innocently enough, one of my customers could say, I want more information about that bullet point, click on that link, and now all of a sudden they're in somebody else's database. They're on somebody else's website looking for houses. So my heart behind all of this conversation today is let's make sure that we're in that first position so that when people are looking for information, they're getting it from you and not from your competition. That's my hope. Okay, so let me hop back into what's here. So write me a blog post titled Buyer Mindset, What People Really Worry About Before Buying. These are intentional words that are on here, guys. That what people worry about before buying is it's a moper. We're giving some clickbait on why they would come get this. If I just said like, hey, is now the right time to buy? That's not, I mean, that has some hook to it. But we now have emotion. If you remember what I said a few minutes ago, I said people get stuck or make decisions based upon emotion. Well, worry is an emotion. And so I'm just addressing it. I mean, by a virtual show of hands right now, how many people have clients that are worried about the market? I think worry is a real thing. Worry is a real thing because of the interest rate. Worry is a real thing because of world events. Worry is a real thing because of affordability, because our prices going up, going down. So let's not run away from worry. Let's address it. Let's let them know that what they're feeling is rational. What they're feeling, they're not alone in this. But then we can help them reframe that maybe the reward is better than the worry that you have in your head. So the prompt here is just simply that. Makina, write me a blog post titled Buyer Mindset, What People Really Worry About Before Buying. And then I followed up behind that because that's long form. This is, I don't know how many words it produced, but it's about 500. I think it's about 500 words of what it produced. That's a long form version that if someone really wanted the details could get into it and read it, take their time, spend 5 minutes, spend 10 minutes reading through it. But if your clients are anything like mine, they don't all have the attention span to read a 500-word blog post. They don't all have the attention span to read something for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Some of them just want the sound bites. So I followed up and I said, go ahead and write me a script that's only 90 seconds long that I can record as a video on that same topic. And frankly, I don't know if 90 seconds is optimal. I think it's probably still a little bit long. I know the videos that we do, well, the videos that we do that get the most amount of traction are about 8 seconds long. Either that's because my audience has short attention span or that I'm just not engaging. I'll blame the audience, not the content creator, because it's clearly not me. But can you get someone to watch a 90-second video? I don't know. One of the ways you could think about this is that there's 5 different bullet points you're addressing, make it a 5-point series and make each one about a 45-second video or so. But just for today's exercise, I just said, write me a script on the buyer mindset that I could record in 90 seconds. And some of us do really well reading from a prompter, reading from a script in front of them. That's some people's most natural suit. They feel most comfortable in front of a camera if they're just reading from a teleprompter or reading from a piece of paper in front of them. If that's you, great. Some of us are better to digest a bigger a topic and then just speak from the heart as to what that exactly means. That you could stand in front of a camera and for the next 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 90 seconds, just speak directly to the audience about what buyers worry about. Maybe just by having a couple of bullet points behind you on the camera in order to do that. If that's you, great. The reality is it doesn't matter. Whatever one you're willing to do, that's the one that you ought to go do. And I would encourage you guys today to think about posting this video. As we hang up, as we get off this Zoom here, go create your own around this. In fact, that's our well, I'll throw this slide up. You guys can take a screenshot of this if you want, but I'll get this over to the Coffee with Scott Facebook page here in a second. I forgot that the slide was in here. Here's just what the anatomy of an effective blog post looks like. So the first and foremost is you got to have a hook. The title has to have some sort of hook that's going to engage the audience. The second is a couple of bullet points, a couple of main talking points. The third is relate it back to an actual story, and preferably one that is a client that you're presently working with or an experience that you've had in the past. And then don't forget the last piece is that call to action, is some sort of hook that would either cause them to scan your QR code, to click on your link, to call you, to reply to your post or something. But don't neglect the call to action on there. I'll let that hang out there for one more second, and then
Can you scroll to that slide, Scott? It didn't move over when you moved over.
Oh my goodness, Laura.
Sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
You would think, man. All right, I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm so glad that we don't record these things. I'm so glad we don't record these things. There we go. Now we got outline for an effective blog post.
Yes, you're good now.
Guys, I am so much better at selling houses than I am at running a Zoom. I'm done doing this. Screw it. This is the last day. From now on, no more slides.
But you're not doing slides anymore?
No, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. No more slides. So I'll go ahead and let this hang out there for a second. But title and hook, make sure it's something catchy that grabs their attention. A quick intro followed by some main talking points. Put in a real life story, and then close it with a call to action. Now, if I click on this, did the slide change?
No. We're still on outline for an effective blog.
It's so stupid. Okay, so here's the charge. Go do something with it. Right here's the charge for today: is go and now take action on that one. Is prompt your machine with your topic. I chose buyers. You could choose something else if there's something else, another somebody else that you're targeting right now. It could be listings, it could be a first-time home buyer, it could be a luxury buyer, it could be a move-up seller, whatever. But prompt the machine with your topic and say, pretend I'm a buyer in today's market, pretend I'm a seller in this market. What are the most common questions and concerns that I may have? And then once you get back the response, you're going to have to edit it to make sure it actually sounds like you. Right. The next prompt I said was write this like a blog post, write this like a video, like a script that I could use for a video. Don't just copy and paste and run with it, guys. You're going to have to go back in there and edit it, make it sound like you, make sure there's not typos, make sure it actually is relevant to your audience. And for those overachievers in the group, take the bold step that today, before today is over, that you record a video around this. That you send out an email to your, I'm using the word blog. If you have a blog to post this to, by all means, don't go create a blog site today. But when I say blog here, maybe that just means emailing your database, setting up a mass email to go out to your database. But take some action on this stuff today so that you start to become back top of mind or continue to be top of mind with your audience. And I think what you'll find is that this is pretty easy to do and it's not very time consuming. In fact, what I would suggest is that if you want to win this race for search, for how people are going to search for us now or into the future, if you want to stay top of mind with not only the strangers that are out there in the world, but also with the people that are already in your database, I'd make the suggestion that there ought to be at least a 1 hour block on your calendar per week where you're doing just this very thing. Where once a week you are putting something out to your audience and to the strangers out there in the world that you want to attract, answering the question about how's the market. It will take you an hour. I promise you, once you get rhythm with it, it may only take you 30 minutes. But the key here is take an hour, schedule an appointment with yourself, put that on your calendar and make it non-negotiable. And within an hour, you could be asking the questions, you could be producing the script or the blog post, and you could be posting it. And the consistency of doing that over time will pay dividends for you. I see the people that have already started this. There are some talented people that are doing it, but here's the reality. They're more talented than anybody else in this room right now. I think some of us in the past is, oh, it's too late. I can't catch back up to where that is. This is not that moment. This is not that moment, guys. You have the ability to get on this right now and be either right in line with the curve or stay ahead of the curve with it. So my ask today, if you got value from today, make this conversation count and go do something with it. And we will get this content. I will post the actual blog that I wrote, that the machine wrote. I'll post the actual blog onto the Coffee with Scott Facebook page. And I will post over there the 90-second script that I would record around this, just so you can kind of see what the sample looks like. So if you're looking for that resource, we'll get it posted over there. In the meantime, have a fantastic week. Go make it count, guys. And we'll see you next Wednesday morning where there'll be no more slides. Just kidding.
Where the topic will be how to do Zoom slides.
Oh my goodness. All right, fine. All right, love you all. See you next week.
Bye.